Hello, hello, all my beasties. How are we doing in the lair? How are we this fine evening? Mm. Hey, CCW, how are you feeling? Hey, Anubis, how are you? Hey, Cookie, good to see you. Patty, Izzy says there's room in her bed. Anubis, surely. Yeah, I mean, I've said the same to mine. I'm like, the dog would die because it would eat everything that you leave on the floor. I just don't know how long I'll be able to hold this off. Rain Man, actually, you will get away with plenty. Um, the ones that are all wrenched are um, they are my OGs for a lot of it. And so as I've started to get bigger, I wrenched most of my OGs because I've had legal mindset on. And with Andrew Esquire brings some interesting clientele with him. Uh, and with some of my guests, I've gotten, you know, hundreds of people that popped in, and my mods are, my people are available all the time, and especially with firearms. But there are very few, Raid Man. There were very few rules in my chat. So, Cookie, did you miss anything exciting? No, not really, Cookie. I've COVID for the third time. And yeah, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about a lot of things that were kind of going on and deciding on what we wanted to discuss. Yeah, Patty, she doesn't care. Um, she will happily open the tap for her to let her drink out of the faucet. Happily. She would literally go turn the faucet on for her or get her a puppy water fountain. So no, no. Blanche would get her way in the world. The tiny human cares more about puppies most day than people. She howls like a husky,
Huh.
and she sound that annoying like husky howl whine thing. She sounds exactly like that. It, I've had people at restaurants or places or Target that heard her do it and start looking around for a dog. And I was like, Princess, you are like too good at this if people think you're an actual dog. But yeah, she sounds exactly like a husky. And every time there's one up for rescue that she finds, oh my god, it's like an argument. Because I say that she's kind of like one. So, Anubis, what is on the agenda? We have a couple things on the agenda tonight. One of the things on the agenda is we are going to discuss the uh, the murder in police custody. Quite a few people earlier asked me to address it. And I said I had not up until now because I didn't exactly know my place in all of it. And, I did spend yesterday watching, I watched Natalie Lawyer Chick and several other creators of color because the problem you run into is regardless of your position, and regardless of my position, is hey, Count Warrior, I'm white. I am like see through white. I think that's the running joke on this channel. I am the Romanian, well, we discovered Czech vampire. Liquid paper makes perfect concealer for me. People complain that their foundations don't come dark enough. None of them are light enough for me, kind of thing. So, um, people have wanted me to, you know, speak about it. And CCW, there is this. I'll show you something. Wait, hold on. CCW, the brother of your current helper duo. Wait, where is this? Where? Well, we will share one thing with CCW as I'm talking, and with everybody. Um. So essentially, it comes down to hey Claude. Yeah, translucent powder is kind of is that in a lot of these other chats, right? Everybody, a lot of people have gotten crucified if they are not a person of color, right? That it's not their place, and they were upset at white a lot of the white people commenting on things. I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know if there's any other way to put it. I mean, someone in the chat can weigh in. Um, but because they felt it was um, they kind of felt that it was one of those situations where you're not really in a position to speak. Um, and I did see a lot of that. You know, Kurt and people in Natalie's chat tried to say anything and got jumped on that it was their place to listen, not and not speak. And so I try to stay out of things like that, just because there's no reason to bring extra drama to a party, right? But everybody in the chat earlier, there was a lot of people. Yeah, Patty, they were offended by it, or they felt it was not anyone's place to speak. But everybody in the chat earlier was like, "Hey, no, we want your take on it." So we're gonna talk. We're gonna have hard conversations, and I'll give disclaimers, and we're gonna talk. Um, we also decided, and I'm not. Hey, Kelt. I'm not covering that right now because I need tomorrow morning to clip it. There are a bunch of questions and people talking about the Murdaugh trial. They were talking about suppressors. Hey, Radia. Um, suppressors, FFL licenses, and all of the things. And there were questions. So I need to clip that down because I have no desire to listen to a bunch of Southern blowhards that think they are God's gift to the world espouse something about, their fifth generation hunting lodge. I've lived in the deep south and I have no desire to listen to it all over and over and over. So,
I will say one thing about the Murdoch trial, though. The subtitles that are getting generated are absolutely hilarious.
yeah, I've heard that. I mean, if I'm feeling okay, like Krakow, yeah, we may stream one day some of it. By the way, for anybody that did join Krakow and I for our couple days of Miliete, he was bound over and there is a trial. Probable cause was found, and he was bound over for trial.
I was wondering how that ended.
Yeah, it did. So we are going to cover that trial. I got messages from people that that like only found us through that, and they were like, no one on LawTube covered the PCC, and I'm like, yeah, because usually a probable cause, they go in, they read the detective's thing, and they're like, yep, we're going to trial. Like very rarely do they decide they want a full 10-day hearing. Like that was a bold
Indictments,
move. They read the
indictments and him
charging
sandwiches.
documents and they're like, we're good.
They go together well, apparently.
Yeah. You know, so whatever. So we're going to do Miliete. I did most we did a few days of this stuff. We're gonna do trial. Why not? So Raid Man, where I see, yeah, you're going to hear everything, and and we're going to discuss things we don't agree with. But CCW here, I'm going to put this up for a minute. So CCW, my dear, if you would like to grab the sibling of your current helper or whoever, hasten. Um, before I forget, where'd this go? It's not a crow tab. Oh,
He's
it's here.
hiding from you special.
Okay, CCW. Hope you're ready. Here, they only liked my gun lube comment. Well, this is the next scheduled video to go up about gun cleaning.
Yeah, I bet that'll get his attention.
So there you go. CCW, you can show him that one. There you go. Ask him if he's okay with it now. That should be up there with my gun lube thumbnail when it came to people's amusement. Why not? Okay. So now that we've gotten all of that out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna start with our discussions. Okay. So here are the Lair rules. We're gonna full attention now. Okay. Cool. um. So here are my rules. I'm sure you 15 that are here, most of you know me. Most of you have been here. Um, but I'm gonna give it again. We are adults. Anubis, that is me. That is me. No, it is not edited. Um, we are going to talk about things that are hard. And no, this has nothing to do with the picture I just showed you. We are going to have discussions about politics and government and race and things that are uncomfortable. It is okay to be uncomfortable because being comfortable in every conversation means you're not going to learn anything. So, my rules are we are respectful. You may disagree, but there will be no um there will be no name calling. You may disagree with somebody else's views, but we are not going to attack them as a person. No name calling. Got it? We're going to act adults. um, we are not homophobic. We are not racist. We are not anti Semitic. And we do not tolerate blatant hate speech in the chat. There are plenty of people here with a wrench that will call you out for it. Now, that does not mean you're getting yeeted from day one. All that's going to mean is if you get warned, please listen. Again, you can ask questions, we can disagree, but we're not going to be petty, okay? You are all left, right, center, black, white, yellow, pink, purple, your choice. that is you. But in the lair, it is a place where we can talk about hard things. So, as everybody knows, there was an unfortunate situation. I am not going to post the video. If you would like to watch the video, CNN, plenty of other channels have posted it, Fox, wherever, you may watch it. But people want to discuss it and have questions. So, let's discuss. If you have thoughts, if you have comments, if you have questions, or you just want to be heard, put it in the chat. If you want to join us in this discussion, Patty, whoever, let me know and I will send you a link and you can join via discussion and we can all be on the screen with little avatars. You don't have to be on camera and discuss. Because this is a place where we all have something to learn from everybody else. And CCW, I hate that I have to give that disclaimer. But when you wander into other people's chats, you're like, what is this? Are we in like 7th grade again? Like, are we back in high school? What are you people doing? Radia, I actually don't mind pineapple on pizza, but tomatoes on a burger, absolutely not. I do not want food that's got squishy, icky tomato guts. I hate tomato guts. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. Sorry. I feel very, very strongly about tomato on food. Like, I will not even pick it off like, if it's on my sandwich, I will not even pick the tomato off because it leaves slimy tomato guts behind. Yes, I'm a 2-year-old. So,
Okay, okay. Just to
let's go.
do a little side thing here, I'm with you on the tomato on burgers. What do you think of pineapple on pizza?
I like pineapple on pizza. But wait. Hold on. The pineapple on pizza thing, I was like not into it, but the first time I had it was in Hawaii. And it wasn't like canned dull pineapple, if that makes sense. And it was like on a very salty, very meat heavy pizza, so the acid cut very nicely. I've never had it, with like canned pineapple in syrup with giant chunks. It was like super finely, like done like almost on a mandolin. So, uh, yeah, no, Hawaiians don't actually eat it. Most of them were like, no, it just happened to be the resort I was staying at in Maui. That was one of the things on the menu. So, CCW, we watched one video earlier so we'd be on the same page. It was lacking in information. Okay. Yeah, pineapple and spam. You get a lot of that. Sauerkraut, I like. I'm a vinegar person. Um, I will say, and this goes. I don't know if she's here. I don't know if my love is here. If she's feeling up to being here. Let me look real quick. Um, I don't see Becky. If Becky's here, she'll understand. Anybody who has ever done any kind of like chemo radiation loves vinegar or very acidic things. It's one of the few things that doesn't the taste of it doesn't change with like radiation and chemo. They make the cancer drugs make a lot of things taste metallic and they can be really hard and off-putting. So, you know,
We've been
people
working really hard at that, Claude.
what? That's a
Something
wait,
you
wait.
just said.
Okay,
Give it
I'll
a
see it.
second to pop up in here.
Oh, when did I get 779? Well, you know what? Funny you say that. I did have like 790 last week, but after the last couple of lives, I lost about 10 people. So we got to get them back up. I got to get to my 1,000. We've been trying. Um, hey Terry. Yeah, no, not all sour cream is created equal, but I'm a very vinegar person. But okay, back to our discussions of the random like pizza, pineapple. I can't do tomato squirrel tomato guts. No. No, no, no. Okay. There's a whole lot of stuff
Okay.
to talk about today. Let me get
Ready,
to them.
Spear?
What?
There is a way to make a cheeseburger pizza, but you have to be
I've had
very
it and
very
it's actually
careful
pretty good.
with the sauce. You don't use the standard marinara sauce for that. Bad idea.
I've ha- no, I've actually have had one done with that and it wasn't bad. It just depends. Hold on.
I have a sauce that I think works really well.
Okay. Um I'm just pulling up my facts thing for this discussion real quick because right now I have small people who are bored who are on my laptop. Because why not? Um, so here we go. Here we can have some discussion here. So CCW, what happened is there was an allegation of reckless driving. He was stopped for reckless driving and was physically removed from the vehicle. At the time, he was tased and pepper sprayed. Where we start to cross into problems, in my opinion, is the white gentleman who is now on administrative leave, and I do not say gentleman because I'm speaking about character. I am just referring to a person with certain, yeah, you know. Um, in the video, he pepper sprays him. He accidentally gets some of it, and if you have been OC sprayed, it gets everywhere. Uh, you remind me to tell Squirrel. Remind me to tell them the bear the bear mace story, the bear mace while driving story.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it's hysterical, but everybody gets sprayed. I used to want to kill police officers because we would go somewhere, we'd be doing something, or like a fight would break out, or whatever. And some officer would get the best idea to OC spray everybody, me included. Like this is not a targeted thing. It goes everywhere. Okay, so one person is getting pepper sprayed. Everybody's getting pepper sprayed. And it gets really annoying. If you're the medic, you're like, can you stop? Hey Raz, like what I am going to need. Uh oh, clotrimine, it stands for Olresio capsaicin. It is capsaicin oil. Everybody talks about mace. Mace is actually a trade name, and anybody that watched me break down the New Mexico trial train wreck knows how angry that trial made me. But mace is a trade name, and what they used to use in mace is no longer a chemical that's about to be like allowed to be used. So generally, everyone uses OC, which is oresio capsaicin, and Thomas, I'll get to you. And it's an oil, and it's kind of reddish, and it is straight capsaicin, and it burns like if somebody were to spray you in the face with, or Claude Simeon, the proverbial don't cut up a habanero pepper and go touch your wiener to go pee. Don't cut up jalapenos and then rub them in your eyes. That effect. Bad idea. So I was really mad at it. Um, in that original traffic stop, you cannot see who says it, but you can hear somebody associated with police that says he is going to be catching a lick, essentially. He's going to be catching it because that officer was sprayed. So essentially, because Officer A pepper sprayed this, and the other officer got it because it goes with the wind, they were going to take it out on Mr. Nichols, which is not appropriate. He then tries to run, and here's the problem. He breaks away and runs. Um, he was beaten with a baton. He was kicked in the head. In parts of the video, he was in the fetal position on the ground, and someone took a running start and just right to the face. Okay, inappropriate. The white gentleman officer, whatever you from the original stop, is the only white person involved. He never left the initial scene. So the secondary scene, which is where the actual assault and murder took place, because that's what it was, he was not at. So that's why there are different charges. And not only are there different charges, that's why he was not publicly known about initially. Now, at the secondary at this secondary location, all of the officers were involved were part of a unit called Scorpion. And it is a targeted unit for a high crimes neighborhood, and it tasked with community policing, and a lot of these units came about in the wake of the George Floyd issue. Unfortunately, they generally do more harm than good. They are generally made up of all minority members, because there is a perception that if you are black, you cannot be racist towards someone that's black, which is not true. So these officers mercilessly um, beat this man to death, pretty much. It was, I think, 11 or 12 minutes in before they even called EMS, and it was EMTs that showed up. Then they had to call for paramedics. It was forever before anyone even checked for a pulse. And he had such severe damage to his head, neck, and face. It was all swollen beyond belief. You could not even see the veins in his neck in some of the pictures I've seen. Claude Simeon, those would be nice compared to what this is. This made the what's his name? California guy. Rodney King. This beating made Rodney King look gentle. That's the only way I can say it.
Never mind, old Rodney survived. This guy didn't. Although
This
I got some information here not too terribly long ago.
we'll come
Uh,
back to it. Just
hmm?
let me go through my thing, and then we'll get back to additional information.
Wait,
Okay? What? Just trust me on this one. Um, You know, he was restrained, he was beaten with a baton. The five officers were part of Scorpion, which is the street crime operation to restore peace in our neighborhood unit, right? And they're all in unmarked cars. There are two firemen who were in the ambulance that have been relieved of their medical command and duties and are awaiting. Mr. Nichols sadly was not a big man. He was 6'3" and 145 pounds. He had Crohn's disease. He had some serious medical issues to start with it, right? Um, you know, he gets pulled out of the ground and there's all of this stuff. He is, the entire time he is on the ground, um, yes, Claude, he was pepper sprayed before he ran. Hey, Sod. Claude Simeon, he was scrawny because he has Crohn's disease. So, um, and they make the initial stop and they remove him physically from the vehicle, and he gets pulled out. They were not nice about it. Um, this entire thing was not handled well. Rain Man, I have not watched his video breakdown. Um, and I'm not going to put the video up on my channel and break it down. If people want to go find it and watch it, they are more than welcome to, and we can discuss the things in it. But I like when we talk about school shootings and everybody that's here, and I know you guys know, yeah, Anubis, this is the one from Tennessee. You guys all know that I try to make sure that we can have tough decisions in an adult manner without visual graphic violence all the time. So if you want to watch it, they can watch it. You know, yeah, you CCW, you don't. There's no need to. Terry, yes, there were problems from the word go. Rain Man, yeah, STFU, it's rough to watch. So I'm going to address this comment. He was detailed deferential to police actions. I have the utmost respect for Andrew. He is a great attorney and he is an encyclopedia when it comes to self-defense. What I will say is, until you have worked on the streets, it is hard to understand some of the things and why. So, we're not going to watch it. Croc, I just put where you can watch it. So, Anubis, here's part of the problem. In these neighborhoods, especially since George Floyd and things, there's a lot of distrust of police. It doesn't matter the race. There's a lot of distrust of anybody in uniform. And the officers at the initial traffic stop seemed to not be having a great day. And they were very short. And he said, I don't know why you're pulling me over. Was he a little bit argumentative? Yes. Was it anything, in my opinion, that required removing him from the vehicle the way they did? Not really. But was any of this warranted? Absolutely not. So, where do I stand and what's my opinion of this whole thing and what do we need to break down with this? We're going to take ourselves out of this particular timeline for a minute, right? And we're going to have this explanation. When things like George Floyd happened. When there have been other racially charged police involved deaths that go to trial, right? It sets everybody on edge. And I can tell you that I personally, and this is none of this like, oh, white savior. No, I intentionally stayed in a high crime, low income, high risk area working because my mother came to the US as an immigrant when she was three and a half, almost four. And everyone knows that, how they fled the Holocaust, and my grandmother was a survivor, and they had nothing and they didn't live in a great area. While I may not be a minority race wise, my family, like, I'm the first generation to live in the US. My mother's family and relatives lived through what's called Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. They lived through the Nazis and the capo and the Gestapo and people just for no reason dragging Jewish people out of places never to be seen again, or making up things, or things that are very similar to what you see in the US in racist areas or with race problems, right? And it always bothered me that those people tended to get less medical care because people didn't want to deal with the high crime area, right? So I personally just felt connected to it. Thus being said, um, I do have, two godsons. Their father was on death row at San Quentin. We're not going to go into that. And Dee Dee and Ray Ray are black. They're minority. They're from the father is from Compton. And a gang member, and he realized he needed to turn his life around, and he moved them. And he worked very hard to keep his kids from making mistakes he did. And so, yes, I understand the statement of, you know, you don't know what it's when people say you don't know what it's like to be worried that your spouse, family, or whatever isn't going to come home when they get pulled over because of the color of their skin. Well, no, but I do fear for that for my godsons. And I do know because my grandmother and a lot of her family were taken in the middle of the night, hey demons, for no reason, and were never found again, okay? So I understand this. I do understand the fear. But you don't I'll get to that STFU. None of this needed to happen. And it is a hard thing to be on both sides of. I have been in these high crime neighborhoods during protests, and I have had bottles thrown at me. I have been beaten. I have been, kicked in the head while I was trying to provide care for people in that area, during these riots. I was there in uniform, but I was there to provide care to the crowd too. And they turned on me because I had a uniform on. I do not think people in these impoverished areas are bad. What I do think is in many of in many of these situations, they become a powder keg. It gives people that are minorities or people that just want to cause problems a chance to do so. So you look at these demonstrations after George Floyd, some of the rioting and fighting and all of the, black man, all of that stuff. You would get all of these people that came in and burning buildings and had nothing to do with it, or would assault police officers, or were assaulting other minority, and they had absolutely no stake in this. Like they didn't care. They just wanted to cause trouble, and this was a good excuse and kind of cover to do it, right? You're not the only one being a jackass, and everybody's attention is spread thin. So you get away with more. So I think that is a large part of it. You cannot just blame these neighborhoods of people. And, you know, radius sphere, like, okay. You don't agree with the officers, did you don't have to trust them? You have to comply with their commands when you're being arrested. Here's the thing, he wasn't being arrested. He was told to step out of the car, and they didn't. And he questioned it. And I have told my grandsons, even if you think you're being pulled over for a bullshit reason, okay, thanks. Give me the ticket and you argue it in court. Do not get into an argument on the side of the road. It is not going to end well. Um, you know, regardless of what you agree with it, deal with it later. When it's not dark, whatever. Nothing is going to be solved on the side of the road. Um, Radius Sphere in the video, when he appears to be resisting, a lot of it is because he was pulled over for an ambiguous reason. For one, you know what I mean? He was being pulled over for an ambiguous reason, and he already had a fear of police. This Scorpion unit is known for being a bit aggressive, and he was scared. They did not need to spray him and pull him out of the car the way they did. They escalated things. When they went to the second location, the beating that this man received was inhumane. Yes, it was reckless driving. But I've looked at the footage and it is borderline radio. It is not like clear cut driving on the wrong side of the road, okay? So, you know, when you're approached, just take the ticket and deal with it later. Do not allow for things to be escalated. And I in no way am faulting Tyree. He was scared. He was pulled out of a vehicle after being pepper sprayed, and they were being very aggressive, and they did not handle it well. And I don't blame him for running. But
I would have hauled ass the second I got the opportunity.
right, and I do not blame him for running, because at that point he is already terrified. Okay? The man is terrified for his life. Okay, tech, like whatever you're opening, I gotta. He is terrified. He takes off running, and you have this unit that's known for being a bit overzealous. The beating he received, nothing justifies that. There is nothing you could say or do that would justify what those officers did. He is unresponsive, he is restrained, he is limp, and there are people laughing as they continue to kick him or beat him with a baton or do whatever they do. There is nothing that man could have done or did that could ever justify that. And yes, institutional racism is a thing. But here's where my different perspective is going to come in. And again, we can all have, you don't have to agree with me, and we can all have a respectful discussion. Rita, yeah, his running takes a misdemeanor to a felony, but but you let your lawyer deal with it. I have told my godsons this 100 times. They whatever you run because you're terrified and they catch, go to jail. You are at least alive, and there are lawyers that can be brought. Like, no, nothing is going to end well on the side of the road at night. Nothing. Everybody is running on adrenaline, police included. Everybody's in fight or flight. There's this mob mentality, machismo, and that's what STFU is talking about, laughing and saying, it was a beatdown. You end up with this mob mentality. Hey, Tom Tom. Um, you end up with a mob mentality where it very quickly in I am not saying they are justified in reality, but their peer group is justifying their actions in that moment. They're not justified ever, but in that moment, they are getting validation from their peers, right? And someone's in the minority. So that's what I'm talking about. Here's where I think a big part of this whole thing lies, right? I don't agree with the running. The cops were wrong. Okay, look, everybody in this situation did something wrong. Nobody is without fault. Did some people do way more wrong, like murdering an innocent man? Oh, hell yes. But everybody had a part in it. The smallest thing is um still going to play a part, right? But everyone always asks me, what do I think about all of this? Like I said, I have been there as a person who was there to provide medical aid, and I was assaulted repeatedly. So, again, nobody is right but mob mentality. Here's where the problem I truly think is. And then I'll get to some of these comments. I do see them. Look, good old Festerman in Pennsylvania comes from Braddock, where he was the mayor. The police chief, I will get to everybody's questions, I promise, makes $16 an hour, and that's the police chief. The police officers make $11.75. You have police departments in areas paying less than McDonald's or Starbucks. And these police departments don't want to pay benefits. So they then keep these guys working like 27 hours a week, which keeps them under a number that they would have to pay benefits or pay into police FOP retirement. I know police officers that work for 3 and 4 municipalities and are barely breaking the poverty line to support their family. And then you bring about everything that happened with George Floyd and the defund the police and everything that has happened in the past few years. And the only people you are going to attract to a job are the people who shouldn't be there. Because at that point, the only people that you are attracting are the mentally unstable ones that can get a state police job or couldn't get a job years before or are not the best qualified. And I'm not talking about can they like physically do it, I mean mentally. We have taken this concept of the police are bastards and all cops are bastards and it's everybody versus the police versus everybody. And by making things so polarizing, the police that you're getting, the employees that you're getting are not the ones you want to be doing the job. You are not attracting the right candidates. The ones that are the right candidates have left their job or have moved to a different department or are somewhere else. And that's where this problem lies. This problem lies in the hiring culture. The problem lies in police culture to a point. Having worked for departments, I can tell you it's like a frat house a lot of the time. It's no different. And if I ask Croco, because where's my Croco? Croco's here. Um,
Krakow is still present. He was
okay,
muted and then just stayed that way.
okay, hold on. Um, as Croco can attest, stupid shit like this goes on in the very low levels of the military too,
Oh yes, you have no
because
idea.
you are not like those people that have been in E2 for like 10 years because they've been demoted as many times as they've been promoted.
Sometimes
Those
more.
are not the ones you want. And that's what you're attracting. And that's where a lot of this is. Raisers, word on the street, they're unqualified affirmative action hires. Um, I don't think they were unqualified affirmative action hires. Um, they did pass the MPTOEC, which is the Municipal Police Officer Training Certification that every state has. And they were part of the Special Scorpion Unit. But here's the thing. Again, we are in the middle of a climate that demonizes public safety. Okay? And so the people that belong in public safety and that truly, truly are what you want, they're the ones that have left, right? They don't want to be a part of this. Or, unfortunately, they're like my friend Justin. Um,
Actually,
you
there was
know,
just as a side note, the additional information I referred to earlier,
yeah,
uh, which I have from a source that is more
I
trustworthy
trust you.
apparently than Tucker. Um, the our Vic here was dating the uh, was dating an ex girlfriend or some such of one of the officers in question.
Again, that just proves my point. Look, you take people like my friend Justin, who was murdered the other day, okay? The police chief, who was person, a man of the people, who was murdered because someone was an asshole. People like that, The ones you want have left. And radio, like I said, most of them probably shouldn't have been. But, like I said, nobody wants to walk into a job where you are going to be paid $12 an hour to be shot at. You make more money at Starbucks. The only people you are attracting to these police departments with this like mass exodus out of policing, especially with George Floyd and all of these issues and the political climate and defund the police and everything, are the ones that would have never been hired prior to that. They would have been screened out on site. But now you have a city that is in a position where they need officers. So they're going to take anything with a heartbeat that can get through it that walks through the door. So I don't think many of these people have the personality or the inherent um mindset for the job, but you're starting to leave departments with no choice. I don't know if there was a potential personal connection. I mean, like Crocker heard that. I can't independently verify it, but regardless, like I trust Crocker wouldn't just like repeat random things. But
Well, I wouldn't repeat random things, but this was Robert Barnes we're talking about.
I still wouldn't necessarily with some of his stuff. But we're
Yeah.
just gonna keep it moving, right? Running is one thing. Once you have 5 cops, you need to reassess. The best you can over with cops been on murders for your compliance. Hold on. Croco, let me do this right now. Let me click on the thingies. Um, you just improve your chances by surrendering to their whims. I don't think it's a necessary just surrender to their whims, but like I said, once you have 5 cops and you raid them, you get to a point where you are not going to solve anything on the side of the road in the dark. Wait till you have a lawyer. I have told my nephews and my godsons, don't. And let me try something. Um, again, guys, we are attracting people that are not um, um we are not attracting the people that you really want, right? This is not the clientele, or like not clientele, you know, whatever, I can't do this right now. This isn't what you're not attracting the people that you really want.
The word you were looking for is candidates,
Yeah,
not
probably.
clientele.
Okay,
Because if
whatever,
you're not getting a good quality of candidate, you're not going to get it. You're not going to have a good quality police force. But that's the same everywhere.
right,
Just
and that's what,
and as a
what
corollary, if you don't have women applying for jobs, you're not going to have women working in an industry.
you
Just
know.
a, just a, just saying.
But here's where this is what I'm saying. What these men did was not justified. There is absolutely nothing that justified what they did, and they all very rightfully lost their jobs and are going to trial. This could have been stopped so much sooner. It never had to go here. And, and Thomas does say it well, right? It's a tough situation. Neither side understands the other. It becomes impossible to build cohesion. So that's very well said, Thomas. And I can tell you, um, that, when there have been in some of these neighborhoods I work in, when they've had like these big municipal meetings where like the community gets to sit down with like the police and all of this, and the community doesn't feel like they're being listened to, the police don't feel like they're like nobody, where I have come in and tried to be a voice of reason. I can say for a fact that I can get out of my car on a Friday night in one of the most dangerous areas near Pittsburgh, in a high crime, high gang activity, very dangerous area that you would not want. Nobody would want to be getting out the car if they didn't know everybody. And people will come up to me and they'll be like, "Hi, Miss Stephanie, what are you doing? Hey, do you need me to help put gas in the car?" Like if it's cold out. I have never once had a problem in those communities because I have never treated a single person in my ambulance like they were anything less than me, nor have I ever treated them in a way I would not treat my own family. And it took a long time, but I developed a reputation in those areas as the person that was not going to ask inappropriate questions or wasn't going to dime somebody out. You know, we would get a phone call that someone had overdosed or someone had been shot, and generally they would like go hide a body because they didn't want police coming into the drug house. They brought patients to me. They would bring people out. I had people on my side because I got to know them and their families. And until you have people that truly do the job because they care, and you're attracting people to a job that is a thankless job with crappy hours, crappy benefits, and you get treated like shit, the only ones that take it are the ones that, yeah, Radio's here. They're the ones that you don't want. Here we go. You know, uh, Zulu's right. These people that have this like power trip, these are the people that would have been screened out in years past. But now they have to take them. There's no other option. Nobody else wants to do the job. Um, Terry, I respect your opinion. Again, I work in these areas. I have for a long time. I still am, even though I'm not in the field anymore, I'm very connected to my people in these areas. I still talk to them. And I think it could have been de escalated. It is an emotional toll, it is a hard job, but you need to have people that are able to de escalate awful situations. You have to have people. You know who's a great example? Krakow, I want your opinion on this one. And by the way, my offer still stands. Anybody in the chat that wants to come talk and join us in voice chat, let me know and I will send a link. Because this is a place we can talk. Um, So, oh my god, my brain just froze. What was I saying? You know, what was I saying right before I said Croco? Where are you?
I don't know, but
Hold on, sorry. I'm like trying to like look at eight things.
you'll
The
remember it.
the emotional toll is rough. They manufacture a reason to pull him over. Zulu, I don't know that they were necessarily getting their beat on one way or another. Was the reason they pull him over somewhat manufactured? Yeah, but it needs to be de-escalated. Oh, the de-escalation thing. You, when you are involved in something that has a mob mentality and they are all validating each other, it can be very hard to de-escalate.
Incredibly.
And you know, CCW is right. Police have no authority. All cops are best, or whatever. There's problems on both sides. Radius sphere. It's a positive feedback loop. The ones that need to join won't. The ones that are the last people are, and it becomes even less attractive. You know, the
Rinse and
entire thing is an echo chamber. And we are not going to get past it until we can stop polarizing things. Until we can stop painting everything with a broad stroke. No, cool Clearwater, you're good. I'm poor editing. No, you're bad. It's me. I'm the one with bad grammar half the time. But
well, the broad brush is actually what's helping the people that are screaming about all this shit. Really.
yeah, I mean, anyway, so when people are being trained, you have to give them plenty of experience with the kind of situations they need. And that's very true, Sod. But here's the thing, it is very hard to teach somebody how to act when they are in a crisis. The running joke with me used to be that I was the Valium. And anyone that knows me is like, the fuck are these people saying? Because I'm the one hyped up on caffeine, like, what now? Running around like Hammy the squirrel. Okay? Not normally. But I've shown up to these mass incidents and it's like, okay, deep breath and let's just go. Because like everything slows down. Like an over the hedge, like I can walk through raindrops. Hammy's had too much caffeine because I'm very good at controlling my adrenaline. And I can tell you, I have been brutally assaulted while trying to provide medical care to someone that was protesting by the people that they were protesting with because I was white and in a uniform. And yeah, it's hard to call it bad behavior because of a code of silence. And you are right, Thomas. And there are plenty of people that will stand up. I mean, I have no issue standing up because I'm an ass and I don't care and I'm argumentative. But a lot of these people, it's a lot harder than you think to stand up to others and be like, what you're doing is wrong. And I will also say, and I brought this up in George Floyd, and I got people were not happy with this. It can also be more dangerous to a point if you don't do it right. Because if one of those police officers is like, yo, what we're doing is wrong, if a mob sees one weak link in those officers, it is just like a herd of lions or like lions approaching prey. They will, use that as a divide and conquer. So you have to learn how to intervene if you are someone in a position of power without undermining everybody. Um, STFU, I don't agree with this. I don't, but I think they may think a little more quickly because they know race is going to be brought into it. Power to improve the quality of policing is almost resting. That is not true, Rain Man. So here's why I say that's not true. The power to improve the quality of policing, unfortunately, rests in local governments a lot of the time. And I can tell you for 1,000% certainty that some of the police departments I have worked with, the police chief was just as corrupt and racist and didn't care. And so if you went to them and you were like, "Hey, this officer is doing this," they were like, "Yeah, F you, I don't care." And then you were in trouble. It is leadership. It is not just in the hands of police. It is the hands of government. You cannot have people like Ilan Omar and AOC out here denouncing everybody and painting everybody with a broad brush. Every job has bad apples. Um, a certain number should be accepted. I I don't think any number should be accepted. There are things that are there are killings that are lawful but awful. There are times when it's unavoidable, but we need to get it under control. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. There's some instinct for group gang behavior. They're trying to expand some reflective behaviors in this situation, similar to and saw that's the problem. Like I said, this group gang behavior, you see it in animals. You see this exact mindset if you're a biology major in animals. I know you're a science
Mhm.
person, so you get me. Anyone that's got a degree in science knows you get this mentality, this herd pack mentality. But the problem is the people that are strong enough mentally don't want to deal with this job now because of politics. Let's see what Terry said. They're all around the door,
No,
grabbing, dragging him out, and screaming at him from the front. Um, Terry, it depends. I don't know what video you saw, but the being administration before thought malice. I'm not saying there isn't. Hold on. I'm not saying like I understand respect and awareness. I'm just saying yeah, they're already amped up. Here's the thing. We're all amped up, okay? Anytime I've pulled people over, been there when someone's pulled over, you are amped up because a traffic stop is actually statistically one of the most dangerous parts of your job as a police officer.
yep.
Um Oh yeah, STFU. I'm not saying really like that's necessarily your opinion, and I will look at it in the message. I'll look at the study, and I think it goes with what I was saying that it's not that they're more comfortable because maybe I phrased it badly. Yes, you will see less violence if the police are of a different race, but that's because they know there's going to be a racial aspect brought into it, and that's going to get put under a microscope. And so they have less of that check, if that makes any sense. They're not like, oh, someone's
Okay,
gonna
if
give
I
this a
may.
second look, you know. Was there previous interactions? Did they know? Uh, Radius
Okay.
sphere. So it is my understanding he is a FedEx driver. He had have um interactions with them, and there is some discussion that there was personal relationships and things. Um, but it's a small high crime community, And that Scorpion unit, again, is a it's an unmarked unit, and so they know everybody. You know, you were amped up. Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. The problem is everybody starts out amped up, and people do not know how to modulate the situation and bring themselves down. And yeah, it's groupthink, and it's just toxic and diffusion of responsibility, and it is a pack mentality, and it's an echo chamber. And Patty's right. Working three part-time jobs for $12 an hour where you're going to be assaulted and shot at. Nobody. But I know what I was going to say. Hold on. Let me look through these really, really quick. Mandatory for only in 2020. Um, yes, Terry, other states have had it for a lot longer. Hold on. He did note white cops did resort to be physical, but they also resorted to, yeah, and STFU. A lot of that is because like you have these white people being like, oh my god, if I shoot the black guy, it's automatically going to become racist. If you have a black guy beating on a black guy, they're like, oh, they're not going to call me out on being racist. It's stupid. It's animalistic. They should have had the grace to kneel on him, like a tribally reflexively defensible. Um, I don't know, Zulu, if that's necessarily it, but like it was animalistic and it was a pack mentality, and somebody needs to be the alpha in that pack and say enough. Enough. Terry, I'm going with whiskey. We're not going with Bacardi over in this chat. No, hold on.
Full. Okay, if I might for just a
Wait,
moment
give me one
here.
sec. Would you give me 1 second before I forget what I was going to say?
Okay.
Um, yeah, Jocko of all people, Jocko's very right. Jocko understands. Yes, they're calling this white supremacy, because it is they're calling it institutional racism. Military group think. Yeah, and you have to train Sod, you have to train it out of people and you have to do things. But what I was saying is, we were saying like what kind of personality, like what kind of person do you need to be able to control these situations? We need Judge Duro. You need somebody with the temperament of that woman. You need someone like Judge Duro, who you can say anything and everything to, and she's like, mm-hmm, okay, and just keeps it moving. It is very hard when you are on the receiving end to keep a cool mind, especially when you're being intentionally provoked. What were you going to say, Krakow?
It actually goes back to the thing here with Sod. You know, 30, 25, 30, 50 years ago, that was absolutely true. Today, no, I'm with CCW. I'm not going to recommend enlistment for anybody in the military. Not till we get General Milley and the other idiots out, completely out.
Yeah,
Just
ST.
looking, just looking at our recruiting advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they doing? Hell,
Um,
5 years after the time I went through boot camp, they had this whole black card, white card, green card thing going on.
okay, I'll give you this one. When Jay was on DI duty at PI, um, they had cards. They had timeout cards that
Oh,
recruits could give to the PIGIs because their fifis were hurt and they've been yelled at, to give them a break from the Marine DIs shark
um,
attacking.
here I would have, I see, I would have expected this from Air Force
The
and
Air
to a
Force
large
has had
degree
it for a
Army,
long
but the
time.
Marine Corps got this. Ooh,
The Air Force has had it for a long time. The Marine Corps just got it about 7 years ago. The Marine
ugh.
Corps got it last, but what I will tell you is the Marine Corps handled it the best. Because I can tell you, anytime somebody pulled that card out, They got to sit down and they got their water and they just PT'd the ever living bejesus out of the rest of the platoon. And nobody ever pulled that card again.
Yup.
So the Marine Corps handled it like the Marine Corps would because they're them. Zulu treat everyone like potentially deadly personal property until they prove otherwise. So this is, I mean, I don't think that's a, you know, um, STFU. I'll put the Harvard case study up. I'll put it up after. That's how you make weak Marines. Oh no, Rain Man. No, no,
That's
no,
how you make weak military people, period.
no, no, no.
And are we serious about that, Anubis? I certainly hope not.
The card was pulled once out of all the platoons through like three groups going like third, but because he was because it happened while he had the Lima Company in Third Battalion. I think it was like class 3042 or something, and it didn't happen again. I believe his exact words are going to push until I get tired.
Yeah.
So no one ever pulled that.
My company commander in boot camp, one of his favorites is that we were required to not just make it rain, but push the planet out of its orbit. At that point, we all knew something got fucked up.
But I just like died of laughter with that one. Hold on. Yeah, you wouldn't enlist today. Yeah, I mean it's rough. Yeah, Air Force has feeling circles. San Diego doesn't make Marines. San Diego makes Hollywood Marines. Hey, Maddie. Uh, go to the island, man up. Go to the island. Learn to live in the mosquito pit and learn to flip your rocks over because they could get sunburned.
Yep.
Hey, Maddie. I'm glad to see you too. Um, yeah, statistics tend to leave out one thing. Yeah, and that's the thing. So CCW, you were not here with me last year. You were new. Um, at like your newer target group. So as everybody that was here last year can tell you, I do break out. I break down statistics. Essentially, when we start talking about things, I use numbers and I scale them so it removes some of that margin of error. As everybody can tell you, I take raw numbers. I compare them against raw numbers from an area in previous years. I remove as many variables. Like I am very cognizant of making sure to remove as much independent bias as possible. Yeah, shots fired. Okay, I don't want to hear you. The Hollywood Marine.
Shit. Oh, speaking of silly statistics, did you hear about the study that was put up that was done by the medical examiner they had on the stand early on in the or well several days ago. They brought her back.
But in Murdoch?
Um, no. The one that John's been working.
Oh yeah.
Jensen. Yeah, she presented this study that she did all by her little lonesome. 15 case studies with no control group and no known murders on what kind of levels you would have of antifreeze you would have in your system if it was a suicide.
I would also like to point out they didn't do things like check oxalate levels, which is what it's metabolized into. But we're not going to get into that chemistry of that right now. It's funny because Hollywood is nowhere near it. Yes, it isn't. But I'm not sure that at least in Paris Island, where your ass is going to have to survive a swim or a bridge where they're going to notice you when y'all can scale a fence at the airport. Nah. You literally have a fence and you are at an airport. At least at PI, you got to get yourself across the bridge because you're not getting in that water.
Wow.
There is a fence. Sorry. Yeah, the Marines didn't dodge the particular bullet. Um the Marines have just um they found interesting ways to account for it. STFU, your mathematician, both big C and little c, conservative, very respectful. Yeah, no, like I'm not arguing STFU. I'm just saying in general, when I break down like criminal, statistics and all of that, I bring, I make sure to remove as many independent sources because um, a lot of people will just cite things and not cite where they got them and how they got the numbers. You know, I come from a family of nuclear engineers and computer engineers, and I took differential
Stop.
equations because I was bored and it was a good class to take. And I was happy. Wait, radiosphere. Never thought about that once. Right. Every Hollywood Marine is like, if I could just get over that fence, I could leave. Y'all at that airport. Don't try. Don't try. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, STFU. I'm just saying in general. That's why when I do my statistics and like when I bring things out, and I think you were there last year when I did it, that I'm like, here in this zip code, and we're just gonna look at the numbers from the exact same geographical, like I narrow things way down because statistics lie, and I can make them say anything that I want pretty much. Um, okay, so we've had a lot of heavy talk. Yet you stand out even more trying to walk across a bridge off an island.
All right.
Nah. Arbitrary. That's why I love you, Zulu. The
Excellent.
glow belt and the glow festers. I mean, like you can just get your glow belt and your the catch me fuck me shorts and start running because everybody knows that's exactly what those shorts are. Um, Okay. We've had a lot of like really heavy talk with this. And if someone has comments or questions, like you can put it in. But we're gonna go with the amusing story that I promised because we need to lighten things up. Okay.
I will be listening in the background.
So here's the bear issue, guys. So um here's the thing. Oh no, radio this it's gonna become very light in about 2 seconds. And everybody that knows me will die of laughter here. So we had a police officer who was like 300 and something pounds and had no business still being a police officer, and he had like 9 months left till he could retire. And he could not like run. You were not getting into a foot chase with anybody with this dude, right? The man carried a can of bear mace. And he used to talk in this really high pitched voice and really fast, like this. Like when he got excited, he'd be on the radio. He'd be on the radio talking like this. And you were like, "What in the hell?" Like as soon as you heard him on the radio. And the one day, all I hear is him on the radio screaming about the person running away from him, and he's giving cross streets. But you can tell he's in a car. And I keyed up my radio, and I was like, "What are you doing?" My man drove next to the man trying to run away, had put his window down and held the can of bear mace out the window and was spraying this dude as he drove next to him. We had to call the fire department in with positive like PPV fans because the holding cell had so much pepper spray in it. It was absolutely ridiculous. I don't think anybody was safe that day. Yeah, let's play a round of Runkle's still a cop or not a cop. Runkle's Canadian, so you can't like Runkle's. That guy retired though. He was literally like 9 months away from retirement and had some serious medical issues, and that was the only reason he was still allowed to uh, be on the force. They were just letting him, and that was like the early 2000s. They were just letting him get to retirement. But we were like, my man, why are you've got Bear Mason driving down the road holding it out the okay, whatever. Leave bears on the porch, no maces needed. Yeah, CCW. I mean, like in theory, but I have lived in places where like the here in Pennsylvania there are bears that don't care. There's one I'll try to find the picture. So there's a mama bear and three cubs that live in the woods behind my house, and they have relocated mama bear and one of the cubs several times. They keep coming back. And this one cub is like it sits in the backyard. It destroyed my little person's like little playhouse thing because it was trying to scratch itself on it and play with it and do whatever. And they don't care. Like animal control has come and tried to trap them, and they just take the stuff out of like, nope, nope. The mental image on that one, yeah, he wasn't in a golf cart, Terry, but like the man is in this high pitched voice shrieking, and he's holding bear mace out the windows. He's driving next to the guy running from him. I stood there. I was like, what are we doing, sir? What in the egg McFuck muffin have I walked into today? Um. Oh yeah, the bear doesn't care. Just so you know. The bear doesn't care. This pair is all about like chicken nuggets or anything my little person leaves outside. I had a dream of a bear breaking last night. Yeah, I mean, you never know. RCMP officer passed out drunk in a BK drive-thru in his K9 unit with his AR. Yeah, I would hope that's not a cop. But nah, no. Radius fear. She doesn't feed them. The problem is these bears just don't care. So, um, you know, she left a Happy Meal on her little Tyke's picnic table in her playhouse one day, and I didn't know. And then the bear destroyed the little Tyke's playhouse to get her Happy Meal. Now it looks for little people treats all the time. Still a cop. I mean, like Raymond, I'm not that surprised. Like, trust me. Some of the trust me that there's things I have seen and been a part of where you're like, what? How? How? No. What are we doing? No. What are we doing over here? What we're not doing is Stephanie's not putting up this today. The bear in her neighborhood would literally tear off your garage door. Oh yeah, raised for this bear, like it'll sit there. It'll destroy garbage cans to get food. It does what it wants. I think it thinks it's a person. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It is not scared of anybody at all. Ever. It doesn't. No, it doesn't care. We spend a lot of time like, I got nothing. I go through quite a lot of garbage cans because it likes to destroy my garbage cans. And that's why I don't put my garbage cans inside my garage door because I don't want it to try to come inside. That's why. But
Garbage cans to the street.
we can't. They can only go up to the street certain days.
Oh.
Yeah, Izzy once accidentally left a Happy Meal inside her little Tyke's playhouse. And now this bear has broken into her playhouse repeatedly looking for food.
Oof. Maybe
Mm.
time to move it
Mm.
or something.
Mm. Oh god, that was horrible. Hold on, guys. Guys, um, PSA: if you're ever drinking Arizona green tea and you leave it out for an extra day, sniff it first because it definitely turned alcoholic. Oh,
Oh,
I just took a sip of it. I did because I thought it was the one I brought up just now, and I
oh
grabbed an old one. Oh no, that was bad.
yikes! And they sell that stuff on shelves.
But I'm just saying, like, I just took a sip of it. I was like, oh no, bad idea.
Okay, I thought you were objecting to something I had said. That's
No,
actually that's just here. As far as that RCMP officer, he'd be more likely to keep his job than not if he'd done it at a Tim Hortons rather than a Burger King.
yeah. I mean, like, fair,
Mind you, he
I
answers
guess.
that guy still on the within the
Yes,
RCMP.
he still has his job.
Given the number of violations in question, I would think he wouldn't.
He
But
does.
maybe the RCMP's getting desperate
Wonka is.
now.
Everybody's getting desperate, okay? Trust me, ain't nobody want to put up with this shit, me included. I cannot tell
Well,
you.
don't look at me. I'm not going to do it. I did my bit.
Like, if you have no, like, I told somebody the other day, if I am your voice of reason, we have a problem. Sir, if you are turning to me as the voice of reason in a situation, we have long since jumped a shark. Yorkshire Grizzly. Yeah, Syndicate. This thing just like chews through the plastic and doesn't give a fuck. This thing's an asshole.
Oh, look, bears are assholes.
It really
Who'd have
is.
thunk it? Who'd
I
have
don't
thunk
know
it?
what else, but I don't know what else to call it. Cause it is. This thing just is. You're like, what are you doing? Like, why? Go away. Leave
Okay,
Happy Meal
I gotta
strategically
put this one
placed.
up.
Yeah, no. Um, this bear is too stupid for that.
He's smart enough to remember where the Little Heights Playhouse is.
Yeah, it pretty much lives in my backyard and won't leave. To the point where like animal control was they set traps and they were like, I'm not sure what's up with this bear, but it has taken the food out of the traps and sprung the traps twice now. I've
Sounds
not
like
been in
somebody's
them.
going to trank it.
Hmm?
Somebody may have to trank it.
Can't get close enough. They've tried. Just where it is. Because I said I see it in the backyard. Like when my kids are out, I'm shooting it. Hey Steph, here's a joke. Casual dinner and pirate sexy time. I don't know, STFU. You let me know. I don't pirate sexy time. I mean, it was just Gasparilla in Tampa, so you might want to ask John. He might be able to tell you.
Now we wait for the punchline because that's going to be a thing. Because
Yep.
I haven't heard this one. This one's new to me.
Ah. CCW. I'll email it for you. CCW. Yeah, hold on. CCW. I'll email you the list. So law enforcement officers. Okay, so that's another that's kind of a complex thing. So radiosphere, they like to then call EMS or me, which generally leaves me telling them where they can stick it and wanting to know why their inability to use their big boy words and convince people is now my problem that I have to deal with them, because once we trank them, um, they're a medical patient, which is a giant pain in the ass. That's what that is, okay? But um, they do not, Matt. Uh, they do not. But we do have ketamine as EMS in most states, and you do not. You don't want ketamine from me, okay? Um, I will say, hold on. Um, Jokes aside, I was given ketamine after a surgery, and okay, wait. Poll in the chat. Who here has either seen or heard of the movie Inside Out? It's like a stupid animated movie about the little people that run the little girl. They're like in her brain, like there's a little guy named Anger and Joy and like all of that stuff. Everyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah, well, this happened to me on TV in the room, and they had given me ketamine. Let me tell you, if you think there's a bad trip involved in general with ketamine in a K-hole, put that movie on TV and give them ketamine. I was convinced the people on TV, yeah, well, I was convinced that those people were in my head thanks to the ketamine. I was like, what? No, anger out of my head. Oh, I was not. That was not a good thing to have on TV that day. Like, I don't know who thought that was a good idea to put on. Um, here's the problem. When dosing people, and I get called for this a lot. Oh yeah, I was like beyond in a K-hole. They had me on a ketamine drip for days because
Oh,
my hand exploded. And no, you didn't mishear me. My hand exploded. I had compartment syndrome, and my hand swelled up with the compartment syndrome that it literally exploded and was open. Yeah, it was bad. Sugar does not help. I had they give you Ativan.
wow.
Lots and lots of Ativan. But here's the problem. So like we dose people all the time. Unless it's something that you're giving IM, you have to get kind of close to them. Like you're not allowed to just have dart guns, which is problematic. Two, you have people that abuse certain drugs, and then it makes things problematic. Here we'll go with this EMS story time. I think some of you have heard this. So I got called to the middle of like BFE nowhere, Mississippi, for a lady who had been unconscious for 3 days. Literally, unconscious for 3 days, and she was in a FEMA trailer. And
Say what?
yeah, she was in a FEMA trailer. And had been unconscious for days. And I got there and I asked the guy, and I was like, "So, my man, 3 days, like agonal snoring respirations." I said, "Why did it take you this long to call?" And he's like, "I figured she would wake up or die, and neither one of them happened. And it's been 3 days." Okay, great. Thank you. I don't know what to do with that information. What did she take? And my man held up a gallon size Ziploc bag that you can tell it had something in it at one point because it kind of had like a white powder residue on the inside of it. And he was like Soma. So it was like, everyone used to call it the Soma coma. And I was like, well, how many? And he just held up
My bad.
the bag. And I was like, okay, sir, gallon size Ziploc bag should not be a unit of measure for taking something. What? The unit of measure for the drugs you took was gallon size Ziploc bag? Okay. That's going to be great. So we got her to the hospital, and the ER doc. Now, mind you, this lady was like 5.5 feet tall and like 7 feet wide.
Whew.
We had to drag her using 2x4s as like wooden skids on a roofing top across a front yard to get it to the ambulance. It was bad. It was not a good day for anybody. And mind you, the ER doctor was a guy named Dr. Ali, Dr. Ronnie Ali. Ronnie is like 5'1" and Saudi. He's hysterical. We get to the emergency room and she bit me. And this was a huge problem because she did have communicable diseases. She was known to have HIV and stuff. So then I spent like 3 months on the post exposure prophylaxis because she bit my hand and broke skin. She only had 3 teeth. They were trying to put her down. And when I say put her down, I mean like knock her out and paralyze her in the ER.
That wasn't happening.
Well, here was the problem. She had a tolerance to paralytic drugs. And so then Dr. Ali and I had a discussion about what kind of drugs are you abusing if you have a tolerance to paralytics. Like I have questions. Succinylcholine and things, it wasn't bath salts. She took Soma. She took a Ziploc bag full of Soma. But we don't know what she abused. The paralytics had no effect on her. Because like succinylcholine and vecuronium and rocuronium should work. You shouldn't be able to build up that much of a tolerance to them. So the next thing I hear, which was the funniest thing I've ever seen and or heard in my entire life in 16 years of EMS, is Dr. Ali on the phone, not guys, I am not joking, on the phone with the zoo in New Orleans. And I look at him, and all I hear is him go, no, sir. I don't care. I need to know what drugs I give. What is the small hippopotamus dose of drugs for sedation? Small hippopotamus.
Because she probably weighed about that much.
And we're like, you just called the zoo? And then he asked the zoo if he could send them the patient because his CAT scanner wasn't big enough for her to fit inside. And the worst part is they agreed. Someone had to transfer her to the New Orleans Zoo for the CT because it was the biggest one. It was close enough to Katrina that everything hadn't reopened yet. It was the closest large animal CT scanner available. But he called the zoo. I need the large. I need the hippopotamus dose. And we were all just staring at him. My man, did you call the zoo? I did not know who else would know how to put down something that size. I'm like, oh my God, Ronnie. You called the zoo.
Tell me you have a better idea.
I almost died that day.
You have a better idea? Now's the time. That would have been my answer.
But it was like the funniest thing I'd ever. Yeah, Terry, it is sad, but it was still the funniest thing I've ever been a part of. Like, he wasn't doing it to be mean. Like, she's been unresponsive for 3 days. We need to see if she has brain function. Like, did she overdose and be oxygen deprived to a point where, like, she's in a persistent vegetative state? Or she just, like, you know what I, like, he had a legitimate medical reason, but it was just his thought process. We all just stared at him like, you are on the phone with the zoo. What world am I living in? Okay. Yeah, bath salts are scary, but no, I mean, I've seen crocodile. The biggest issue with crocodile is when you can see the bones in their arms. I had some guy who had been using crocodile for a while, and from the necrosis, it had eaten through his forearm, and you can see the ulna and radius just chilling out there. Crocodile's nasty. Bass are nasty. There's a lot of stuff that's gross. I'm trying to think. No, you know what? I did have one. Yeah, crocodiles. The problem is crocodile. The stuff that's in it is just acid, and it will. Okay, crocodile. It comes out of places like the Ukraine and Russia originally, and it is a mind altering substance you can abuse, and they inject it, but it's like battery acid. So it causes massive necrosis, and it will just eat through all of the flesh. And so these people will just be, you'll see their bones because it'll eat through everything. It is not a synthetic narcotic. They literally like, cook it up. Hold on.
Morphine,
What? Well, yeah, but there's other things in it.
obviously.
Um,
Shit.
yeah, crocodile, it's desomorphine, but to make it like with methamphetamine, like when you're making meth, you're using, um, yeah, STFU, not sort of. No, it's not PCP related. So the problem is like if you go into someone making meth, they're using Sudafed and like all of those things. Yes, it melts flesh. The stuff you are using to make it, instead of being things like Sudafed, you are using acids. It just eats through things. It's bad. But yeah, Terry, the whole situation. Oh, that's not even like the worst. Trust me. Oh yeah, I did. Here's one you guys were like. I had someone that wanted to fight me in the ambulance who had a little bit too much to drink.
Yeah, I remember this one.
No, you haven't heard this one.
Oh, I haven't heard this one. This is another one.
No, yeah, 16 years. Trust me, there's enough EMS stories which are great. So, I have a habit. I am very tall. If you don't know me, as some of you that have seen that thumbnail I put up earlier, you can tell how I'm built. Or if you've seen my gun lube video, you know how I am built. But I am very, very tall, and so I cannot sit next to. Radius Spirit's still around. I cannot sit on the bench seat next to the stretcher without having my legs kind of like spread, and then people can put their hand on my inner thigh, and I don't like it. So I have a habit when I have touchy feely patients, I would stand up against the back doors in the ambulance and kind of just hold on to the overhead bar. So we were on our way, and this guy got himself unbuckled and told me some not so nice things he was going to do to me, and that all of the stuff. And we had a police car following us because he was in custody technically, and so he got himself unbuckled and like lunged for me, thinking he was going to pin me between the back doors and himself. And I got myself up onto the bench seat and opened the back door to the ambulance as he lunged. And he went right out the back door and landed on the hood of the police car and broke the police officer's windshield. I got yelled at for that one.
I'm sure.
I was like, I wasn't going to be in the way. The police officer's like, I don't know. I was just driving. The next thing I know, some dude launches himself out of the back of the ambulance and lands in my windshield. Told you.
Mm-hmm. I bet that was fun to explain.
The dash cam video was epic.
I'd be willing to bet that was loads of fun to explain to the insurance company.
Nobody cared. The dash cam footage in the ambulance, like you heard what he was threatening to do to me. And what he was threatening to do was horrific. Oh. And, he was not a nice person. And then the next thing, because it records 10 seconds before impact.
Oh, dear.
And so the officer's dash cam, you see my back up against the windows, and then you see the back door open as I just like fling it open, and I'm obviously not in front of it. And the dude lunge off the stretcher and out of the back of the ambulance.
Well, back to the question of how he got how he got himself discombobulated from the from
He
his
just unstrapped
restraint.
his seatbelt.
What?
He's not hand. He just undid his seatbelt and dove. He dove for
Oh,
me, and I opened the door and right through the windshield of the officer. Like you saw the dent in the hood, and then the man's windshield was like
yeah, I figured
broken and
you
caved
would
in.
have had him strapped to a gurney.
Yeah, he unstrapped himself and jumped off. I saw him getting ready to lunge. I just opened the door and moved. Not my fault. You jumped out the back of the moving ambulance. Like,
Lucky he
bruh.
didn't wind up under the police car. That would have been more trouble.
I'm sorry, Terry. Patty should have warned you. Yeah, no, the police car's windshield was like caved in. And the officer's just sitting there on the dash cam looking at him. Like laying on the and all I hear on the like all I hear on the radio is I swear to God, Stephanie. And I was like, not my fault. He made his choice.
You're
So
not supposed to let him make that choice. I could just hear
was
it.
it? No, they all just kind of looked at me. Trust me, it's not the worst thing I've done. Reminds you of the scene at the end of Don't Me. You know you. Oh yeah, you know you fucked up with. Oh no, there's a lot of people. Like okay, so here's the thing, you guys. I will. Yeah, I'm trying to kill you again. I'm sorry, Patty. So there's this thing. If you're really drunk, there's technically nothing medically wrong with you. You're just drunk. And a lot of times the cops don't want to deal with you in the drunk tank at the police station. So they'll call EMS and try to say alcohol poisoning to get us to take you to the ER to go sober up so they don't got to deal with you. Because no one wants to do the job. No one wants you puking in their car in the middle of the night. Like, I'm just sorry, okay? Like, we do not. We might like CCW. I'm going to answer that in 1 second. No one wants to clean puke up. So it got to a point where, we would show up and the police would be like, look, either you're going to go with us in handcuffs or you're going with medics or police. And most 99% of people are going to go with the paramedics because like you're not going in handcuffs, right? It was at a point that when I showed up, I showed up on one of them, the drunk guy looked and goes, police bitch, I ain't going with her, and put his hands out. And the cop was like, what have you done that this man would rather be arrested than have to go in an ambulance with you? I'm like, I'm good. CCW, I see. Okay, CCW, do me a favor. You have my cell phone number in the one email. Have somebody text me or send me an email just to let me know because I'll worry. Okay, you have my personal phone number. Radius for you didn't think handcuffs were optional. So here, the law is you actually cannot handcuff anybody behind their back if they need medical care. Cuffs have to go in front. If you cuff somebody with their hands behind your back, that's how you end up with positional asphyxia, which is one of the things that killed George Floyd. And you hear it all the time. Positional asphyxia is problematic. And the other reason we want handcuffs in the front is in case of emergency, like you can at least protect your face if you're in cuffs. So my man was like, no, I'm going with police. I'm not going with her. I'm like, that's talent. Someone would rather get arrested than spend time with me. I've done well. I've done a good job.
Well, they don't know what they're missing.
No, this guy knows what he's missing. This guy and I had gone several rounds in the ambulance. The first probably 6 months I was on the street working, he would try to pick fist fights with me because he thought he could take me in a fist fight.
Oh, no. That's somebody that doesn't know a Stephanie.
Yeah. CCW, that's fine that it's going to be all green. I'm going to worry regardless, so I'll just have someone email or text me. But yeah, he tried to fight me a couple times, like, and it didn't work. And then you look really bad when you're in pink handcuffs, sitting in a holding tank, because I have pink ass tactical handcuffs. And then, like, when you go in front of a judge and, like, everyone's doing arraignment, and I know we have a lot of law talk with Mike people, bail court. when they read the probable cause affidavit, like what you're being charged with, and they're like, attempted assault on a law enforcement officer dash paramedic, and then in parentheses has my name, and it says yes, the girl, close parentheses, and then usually there's an entire room like you see on Law Talk with Mike. Hey, J. Michael. There's an entire room of people waiting for their bail, and everybody's like, "You got beat up by the girl and ended up here. You lose all your cred." Uh, yes, yes, Becky, I did get your email. I did. Demon's Wrath paramedics with handcuff. I am not just a paramedic. I am also on the special medical response team. I am the paramedic for the FBI, DEA, ATF, and SWAT teams. I carry a weapon. I am also on several SWAT teams as a precision marksman. Uh, yeah. So, yeah.
And
I
you
have
got that one wrong, Radius.
Demon's Wrath. Yeah, Demon's Wrath. I have handcuffs and guns. J. Michael, hi friend. J. Michael, are we still good for Thursday? Let me know. Radius for your street kid minus 1,000. Yeah, pretty much. They like they're like, oh my god, the girl beat you up again. You got beat up by a girl. Although then there was an argument: was I actually a girl or not, or whatever. But yeah, Dr. Ollie calling the zoo was the best thing ever that day. Like I just
I gotta give you that one. Yeah, calling the Nolan Zoo is, yeah, that's epic.
Oh, trust me, we have had far worse. Like that's not even the most like ridiculous. I lost a patient once. I lost a patient that was dead already, and I misplaced them. That was a lot of paperwork.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do not misplace your patients. They consider that rude.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like we drove past this person and went to go like turn around so we could, be facing the right way. And in the like 2 minutes, this guy was out of our sight. He was gone. The blood was still there, but he was gone. It turns out the guy that shot him had seen us drive by and just like drove by, opened the back door, pulled him in, and kept going. They found him like a year later in the basement of a condemned house. But I was like, guys, county, I don't know where the dead person went. They got up and walked. It looks they either got up and walked away, or I don't know.
Somebody stole the body. That's what happened.
Yeah, but we weren't really sure at that point in time, and then generally there was a lot of everybody making fun of me. Come on, I've had people jump out of the back of moving ambulances and land, go right through the windshield of the police car. Mm-hmm. Oh no. Oh, okay, guys, I have one. So I know we've been talking about like things to do for certain things. We have to come up with a milestone, and for one milestone, we will have a Loki After Dark, and we will discuss all of the naughty adult time reasons 911 was called that I had to go to. And trust me, some of them, your inhaler or things coming out of your nose, you will die. Just don't be drinking and make sure your inhaler's within arm's reach.
Right. Maybe I should throw in a couple of my stories. Santa Claus, anyone?
Oh no, this is way worse. Until you've had to try to figure out with a tongue depressor and a mag light how to unstick two people's naughty parts piercings because they're stuck together.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, there's not enough money for this.
Well, at least the problem I had was just really quick and easy.
Yeah, no, these people were stuck together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering how they pulled that off.
Oh, it was good.
Okay.
I was just like, I have questions that I don't want answers to.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be on that call. I'd take it, but I don't think I'd want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, we had like the Viagra laced crack guy.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Towel.
yeah. We had the guy with the washcloth. I'm going to need you to do something. You hung a washcloth on it, sir. Mm-mm. Oh, it was bad. So, um, but we have had a good 2 hour talk tonight, guys. Like, we talked about lots of um hard things at the beginning, and now we've had lots of fun where I made somebody spit cream soda out of their nose. I'm sorry to that viewer. I love you anyways. Um, so
It was
to
Terry.
yeah, lots of questions. So tomorrow, yeah, that guy, his wife broke a hip for him. Like, I'm sorry, when you're 80 and your idea of a good time is you're gonna bring a mattress out into the living room, like we need to reevaluate things. I'm sorry. Like we need to talk. Um, but I am going to say goodnight in a minute, and we are going to end this. Tomorrow morning, I am going to clip the firearms stuff, and I will put up a time for us to go through the firearms stuff from Murdoch for everybody. So we will do that. But um, I love all my beasties. I love you all. Big hugs, and um, we will talk tomorrow. Love you all. Everybody be safe. CCW, keep us posted. Good night, guys. Okay.
I'm waiting for it to save it. The red button is still the red button.